to you from the NBC Tower in downtown Chicago. I am Kevin Kellam. Joining me, Dominic DeAngelo. This is your Monday Night Raw post show from Brooklyn. WrestleMania hype, an elimination chamber. Drew's ready for Mania, and Randy Orton, you son of a... We're going to get into all of it.
Ooh.
I went for the choir boy on that one. Wanted a little bit lighter. Oh, man. What an episode of Monday Night Raw. When Raw comes to a big city, you get big stuff. And that's what we got this week on this week's Monday Night Raw from New York City and Brooklyn. A lot to go into in this show. Drew McIntyre had a big moment and a big brawling moment with Brock Lesnar selling his butt off. We have new Raw Tag Team Champions. Tag matches were the thing of the night. A lot of great stuff to build up storylines for WrestleMania. Overall, a good vibe coming out of a 3-hour episode of television. Yeah. It didn't feel like 3 hours. It flew by, but I want to know what you think. So if you're with us live, give us your take on Raw. Some people already joining us saying they loved it. They thought it was awesome. So if you're just joining in, what did you think of Monday Night Raw this week? If you're watching on demand, whether on Facebook or YouTube, just jump into the comments down below. I'll still be jumping in there, even if you're not with us live. But Dominic DeAngelo joining me. Of course, you can get all of his coverage at WrestleZone.com. He's been quite busy on the legal front. The legal issues in wrestling. There's a big court case. We'll talk about that within the show. But what are your big takeaways from this week's episode of Monday Night Raw?
Drew McIntyre, obviously. I think they did a really good job with him opener. The Street Profits, I wasn't a fan of how they've been bouncing back and forth between wins and losses, but I think this was a pretty solid case for them, and having Montez Ford get the clean, well, not the clean, but the pin on Seth was a pretty good standout moment. Really like Shayna Baszler. I like just the storytelling she's able to do in the ring. I thought it was great. And the closing segment between Orton and Beth Phoenix I thought was pretty solid as well. So overall, I thought a pretty solid show for Raw.
Yeah, we'll get into some of the stuff that was a little bit off and some things that definitely made people go like, whoa, don't worry, you boo birds. You'll be able to chirp up this show. But I think the good outweighs the bad with this week's Monday Night Raw. But we got to say it. Randy Orton, you son of a... Oh, man, he is such an evil guy. An evil man.
Man.
He's an evil man. He's such a viper. He's such a good heel. All right, so he lays out Edge after his feel-good reunion, and that was a huge moment. We saw it on WrestleZone.com. It was the #1 story we were covering on all of January going into the Rumble, and WWE smartly just cut the angle right away the next night. It had a lot of hype, huge trending terms across the world. Fans were engaged by this, and they've been able to keep the pot still simmering. Randy Orton may not be in Matt Hardy rather may not be in WWE, but he kind of kept that vibe going and kept it hot and kept it personal with characters that we've seen on television interact with each other for the better part of nearly 20 years. And Orton and Edge are two of those characters. Enter Beth Phoenix, Edge's real-life wife, the mother of his kids, and she's someone who's also been on the shelf with injuries as before, but now she's in that later stage, maybe sometimes wrestles career. She comes out, she's going to tell you what's going on, and then her and Randy predictably get in the ring. Now, this was expected, right? But talk about Randy Orton milking everything. Just coming in the ring, not right away talking. Go ahead, you talk. No, now I'm going to talk. And he told this very long, very detailed story, bringing up people's names, saying that Edge was one of the first superstars he actually met and had a conversation with, and how their careers intertwined and how he became close to him. And this guy kind of helped him get on the right track and be a better family man. And then the turn that we've been waiting is Randy giving his explanation for why he did this. What did you think of his explanation that I did this because Edge doesn't know any better and I love him more than you do?
I don't think it's that bad. I like the fact that the history between the two is really what does sell it for it. You almost, with Orton, you don't almost really need a reason because he's got that unpredictable attitude that he's been going for. I'm glad they did something though to give it a little bit of solidity. Overall, yeah, I'm okay with it. I probably would have liked something a little bit more in regards to maybe a reasoning, but it's fine. It's okay with me. What's your thoughts, Kev?
I thought it was pretty compelling. I mean, I think Randy Orton is one of those few guys that you can give that kind of very it's very hard dialogue to pull off. Things were written for Randy here. I know obviously everyone's gonna say it was off the script. He's talking so much about his father and his history and different things like that. But I think he's definitely one of those guys that can get the storyline notes, take them, and really drive it home and get things in. The crowd was waiting on bated breath for what he did. His methodical delivery is very, very good. And in WWE, the way they produced this was smart. They gave them more than enough time to make this work. It didn't feel long. It felt tense. And you knew at some point he would put his hands on her. If anything, maybe not an RKO, but he would definitely attack Edge's wife. And we knew that. I think I knew once we got in the ring. But it was what he was going to say before it that really made it more of an impact. And the way he kind of said that really did make an impact. And Beth, you had me, and I don't care. I mean, we watch this all the time. I was staring at the TV saying, "Come on, Beth, give that guy some slap that son of a bitch, right?"
Yeah,
and that's all it takes, right? That's all it takes. And I was like, "Come on, bring it home, Beth." I was but I know that isn't the end of the storyline, and they got the hook is in, and I don't mind saying if they get you, and I've been watching it my whole life, I'm on board, and all you want to see now is Edge get his hands on that snake man. You want to see him get the snake man. Some people texting in and saying he's a snake. Now, Deep Dewall saying Randy Orton versus Edge is the best storyline right now. A lot of different people have different takes on it here. Darius Howard, Randy's explanation was exactly what I said it should have been. It made sense. So, some people just liking the logic of it here. Joe texting and saying Randy is such a better heel than a face. Well, yeah, that's true. I think he will go down as probably one of the best WWE villains for a long, long time for sure. And Philip says seems like too many Randy Orton fans shouting RKO. Yeah, there were people shouting RKO.
There is that,
which is pretty ridiculous here. But quite the segment. Does this really throw a lot of gasoline in the fire for Edge and Orton going into WrestleMania?
I think so. I think what's going to be good is just when Edge returns. And the dynamic that what they'll handle with the storytelling, because they still got a month to go, and when you get Edge back involved in the situation and everything, and both are able to cut promos on one another, and both are able to interact with one another. Don't want to see them lay hands on it until WrestleMania actually commences, but I think that they got themselves set up pretty nicely for the rest of the month before that weekend takes off in Tampa.
Yeah, and there's a lot to do here. I think we've seen this before with WrestleMania, where they have a great storyline. It starts real good. It has some high things, but maybe it plateaus a little bit too early. Maybe when you pull that last climactic scene that you really want to drive home on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, what week do you do it? How close do you do it to the main show? I think we can see Edge come back. We think we can see Edge chase Randy a little bit here and maybe flip the tables on him. But sometimes they've done this before where it's a great storyline, but that climax comes maybe 2-3 weeks before WrestleMania, and then we have kind of what feels just like an infomercial for everything we already know. I think if WrestleMania was in 2 weeks after this, this would be a really hot angle. I think this is the most personal grudge they have going in here. A lot of guys are going to brag and say they want a title, or guys and gals are going to say they're going to want to do this. But of them, this is the biggest one. There's just so much emotional investment with Edge coming back. And Orton, I think, in retrospect, a lot of people say, oh, why didn't they do Edge with this guy or Edge with that guy? I mean, once you saw what Orton's doing here, this is awesome. He's probably one of the best guys he is listening and processing the crowd so much. And there's very few people that can do what he's doing, simply because of the experience he had. That's some of the best stuff on Raw tonight. Other good things that we saw on Monday Night Raw. What other stuff did you like in Raw? A lot of good matches tonight. Yeah,
a lot of good matches. I really enjoyed the Street Profits against Seth and Murphy. Murph the Smurf. I like that a lot. And like I said, I don't like the bounce back and forth between the win, losing. I didn't like him losing that on Thursday in Saudi Arabia, but overall, you see this on Raw on a bigger platform where more, of your fan base is going to see it there. And you see Montez Ford pin the shoulders of the mat, Seth Rollins' shoulders to the mat. So I think that's a positive step in the right direction for 2 stars. And Montez Ford's got that X factor to him vibe. He's got that huge vibe to him. So
just oozes charisma.
Oozes it, yeah, man.
Oozes it. I think he's a guy who's. I'll say I think he has a big future his career as a single, but I mean, there's still a lot of life for the Street Profits as a tag team. Yeah. They're over. They have a really good entrance. Fans enjoy them. I mean, when they got called up to Raw, some people thought it was a little bit too early. They were just kind of using them to cut promos for things that were coming up on the show. But that showed how they have this personality that WWE knew in the long run would be when to pull the trigger on it. They pull it before WrestleMania. A lot of people would say, oh, why not do this at WrestleMania? I was interacting with people on Twitter during the show. You can check out my timeline. I got into all the goofy stuff too. The thing that I saw some people say is, how come they didn't wait for Mania to do this? How come they didn't give them this at Mania? I think this is better for them to do before Mania because it ensures that they're going to have some presence on WrestleMania in some way or another, I think. And they do have a match already, a rematch this Sunday, again, with Rollins and Murphy. I don't know how interesting that match can be. But in terms of television, keeping the angle with Kevin Owens hot, doing a lot of the gaga with people outside the ring almost getting eliminated and playing around with it, there's a lot of good WWE things that were done here, and the Street Profits are very much a WWE team. They have a very big personality, they have a very, very big entrance, and they play up the gaga, and they're fantastic athletes with a lot of personality. Good on them. I thought it was fun TV. They did the picture-in-picture and the tease. I'm getting used to that now, especially if they have a match. I'll watch through the picture-in-picture tease and the commercials and stuff like that. I also enjoyed the other big tag team match of the night. It was a true all-star affair of all the Latin American stars in WWE, especially on the Raw side, with Andrade and Angel Garza tag teaming against Humberto Carrillo and Rey Mysterio. Mysterio and Carrillo get the big win here. This one goes nearly 2 segments. Very, very strong match. A good win for Humberto Carrillo. Showed off. They teased the finish back and forth. It felt like it could go either way. And just a fun banger match that sets up maybe a new tag team in the future or maybe some new individual angles. I know they've always thought about doing Andrade and Rey Mysterio. They thought about doing, I believe, last year at WrestleMania. We've gotten to see them do matches on TV. They did a big ladder match a few months ago. There's something there. All 4 of these guys shine pretty hard here.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel aside from that Orton Edge angle, I think that's something that WWE is doing very well in regards to what their main product features are those 4 and what they can do. I really like Angel Garza. I think he's great. I think he's another guy that when I was thinking Montez Ford later on, when I saw Angel Garcia walk into the ring, I'm like, that's another guy that has that vibe to him. And I think they're positioned in the right spot. I love anytime you see Rey Mysterio just walk into the ring, anything like that. Just the ultimate babyface, man. The ultimate babyface. You can't beat it.
It's really easy to cheer for him. It's really easy to be like, come on.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like it's great, man.
When he did the dial up, I was like, yeah, dial up.
Yeah. He's headbutting kids on the way too. It's great. Yeah, it's all great. Yeah, right.
Play the hits, right? Play the hits.
Exactly.
I enjoyed the little thing there with Andrade teasing the Eddie Guerrero Latino pose there for a little bit. You went blurry on me there, Dominic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you've gone blurry on me. Just you want to give me a reconnect there? Just do a reconnect on the signal.
Okay, how do I do that?
You pop out and go right back into the link I sent you, bud.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
No problem. Right, he'll join me again here. Let's see what you guys thought of this week's Monday Night Raw. People say, what's up with Ricochet? Haley texting in here. Ricochet losing after getting squashed by Brock. Yes, Ricochet got squashed very easily at Super Showdown this past Thursday against Brock Lesnar and had a match against Riddick Moss, the new 24/7 champion here. As we touched on what was good on Raw, I enjoyed the 3-way match with Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. Kind of made you think, all right, they're not working together as a team, and Sarah Logan having a little bit of a shine there. That was some of the good stuff on Raw, but a bad part of Raw is what is going on with Ricochet. Not a super fantastic match. I do say that Riddick Moss has a cool neckbreaker finish. I like neck breakers. That's very old school. He's a big guy. He's got big, broad shoulders. Guy with a big, broad shoulders brings you down in your neck. It's going to hurt. So I was okay with that. But what the heck is going on with Ricochet here?
It's bad, man. I don't know what the hell is happening with him. I feel, and like, he must have did something dirty to Vince, because it's just, to see him like lose. I like Riddick Moss, and I think he's got a presence in the ring too. You got to fix the boots, but I don't.
Leave it to you, Dom. Leave it to you. Those boots are trash.
Boots are, oh man. Yeah, but no, with Ricochet, dude, it's like, what does he not see in him that he can't do? And I mean, the only way to go with him is a heel turn at this point, and I don't think he's fit to be a heel. I honestly don't. So it's just, he's in a bad spot. I don't like it, man.
It's a bad time to be in a bad spot this far out from WrestleMania too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I also think he's always had an upside. Some people say they haven't done enough with him in WWE. They put the title on him. They put the United States title on him once or twice. I do think he's one of the guys that could go right over to NXT and have a great reaction if they wanted to do something there too. But there is so much we don't know. I don't want to assume everyone's, Vince was saying them. No, you don't get that much TV time if Vince hates.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
I've always thought that. Like, people say they buried the Fiend. No, he was in the main event. He just had a title run, and he had a match with Goldberg. Now he's getting a match with John Cena. So calm down. People got to know how to use the word buried. You know who's buried on Monday Night Raw? People who are on television. That's who's really buried.
Like Zack Ryder. Yeah, who's that guy?
Other bad stuff on Raw. We've been waiting to see what's in Erick Rowan's cage. And this has been teased. The big red beard, a red-bearded gentleman like myself, Erick Rowan, was mowing down people, and then he suffered a handful of losses to Aleister Black. We'll talk about the match with Aleister Black and AJ Styles as well. But we got to find out what was in the cage, and it was an animatronic spider that he took out of the cage that scared away Noe Jose backstage. Noe approached him, and he was very kind. And then, bam! Robotic spider! Here's the thing. I know everyone wants to rush and yell wrestle crap and say this is too much and that this is the worst thing ever and all this stuff. And I know on Twitter we had some people goofing on as well, just sending their GIF responses, right? Because I think this is one of those things where people are like, oh, we're all crapping on something, let's go. That's kind of what I felt the reaction was. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen on WWE, but it definitely felt like underwhelming for something that is so simple of a tease, a fun, carny tease. What's in the box? What's in the cage? We're gonna see. We're gonna be, and under no circumstances were we told on the show that we were gonna get that, and then we suddenly get it, and it's a robotic spider.
It was, for what I knew weeks ago. I wasn't playing anything like weeks ago. I just knew that there was not going to be an ending to the story that people were going to be satisfied with. It just was not going to happen. And because what are you going to put in that cage? What are you going to, besides a live animal that's rapid or anything like that? You can't. There's not going to be a delivery. I thought it was going to be another hand thing, and it was kind of another hand thing with the Mae Young thing. So I don't know. I think the pause.
You like how creepy crawly it was?
It was, yeah. It kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, wait a second, what's up with that thing? Why is it moving? I thought at least it wasn't immobile. It had a little bit of legs to it, but
it wasn't like he picked up a toy and it just sat there dead.
Yeah, no, it kind of had a little bit of thing going. But honestly, I think the bright side of this is they can kind of move on from it now. I think Rowan was kind of pinned in a corner with this whole storyline of ooh, what is in the box
of the show, Dominic. Haley, you got on screen twice, so you're already on base here. But Haley,
there you go.
Saying she was hoping that Hornswoggle was in Rowan.
That would have been something else.
That would have been good.
That would have been something else.
Something else I thought that was right in the middle on Monday Night Raw is we were advertised a match between AJ Styles and Aleister Black. Now, Aleister Black has been on quite the run. We mentioned he just had some victories over Erick Rowan, had a series of really great matches with Buddy Murphy, and Styles is back, and he's always known to be a bout machine, if you will, in WWE. And we reported a few weeks ago on WrestleZone.com, wink, 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 that we're going to get Styles versus Undertaker. That was set up at Super Showdown. We thought we'd get more teases. Styles mentioned that on the show. He cut a promo with Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg was, you're going to fight an Undertaker. You're going to fight an Undertaker. Really? Walk away, AJ. Why you gonna fight an Undertaker? He's a dead guy. He's a freaking dead guy. That's a bad Undertaker.
That's pretty good. No, that's pretty good.
No, that's not that good. It's not that good. I'm trying to say it's a Transformer. I want a Transformer.
There you go. That's good. I like it.
So I thought that was a good little celebrity unit play. But then we got like a gauntlet match, and we got like sort of a match with Styles and Aleister Black. Now they're going to fight each other in the pay-per-view, and this is a no DQ match. So if this is what we were doing, and you want to say it's a bait and switch, you can say it. But I did think it was a fine angle. It wasn't amazing. It slightly fell underneath my expectations because I thought we were going to get a banger and Styles would go over and be like, all right, you see what I did to this guy? And I thought, Aleister Black is the new spooky character, might have some cool interaction with Undertaker, which I think could still happen.
Yeah, could definitely happen.
You know the ridiculous thing I thought of, Dominic? You know my ridiculous thing I thought of in Raw? Undertaker comes out, he's like, I'm out here. I'm out. I'll get my hood on. I should do my hood, right?
Yeah, there you go. If you got to use it.
I'm out here, AJ, because you have tempted the dark side, and I'm out here to support my son, Aleister Black.
Oh my God!
That would be ridiculous.
I would probably before that.
I know it's really dumb. Dumb. So I thought that would be ridiculous. I think you do something if they do Aleister Black and AJ versus a mixture of them as a tag team. I think that'd be kind of cool. I think. And if that's something Aleister gets to do on the way to WrestleMania, I think that's kind of neat too. I'm on board. I do think we get some kind of Undertaker presence in some way this weekend at the pay-per-view. But overall, pretty strong episode of Monday Night Raw. Is there anything I'm missing here that maybe you think is worth talking about here?
Let's see.
We didn't talk about Drew. We didn't talk about Drew McIntyre.
No, the whole opener.
The biggest stars in the company. Sound off on this if you guys are with us. What did you think of this? This was a banger opening here because, we really saw Paul Heyman come out, cut his promos, really work up the crowd. And Drew came out, said nothing, and laid out Brock Lesnar. I mean, laid him out and also gave him a nasty welt on the side of his head. Took that boot for legit. And gave him 3 claymores. I love when he really sold it for a long time, and that Brooklyn crowd gave him hell. And then that last running around the corner, running right from the back shot, giving him one more. If you want to think that Drew McIntyre isn't ready, Brock Lesnar sold him like $1 million tonight for this match.
Yes, he did. Yeah. That's something I really took away is the presence of both of them on both ends of the spectrum, where Drew had that presence as a champion and as a star. Like just his body language, like how he handled himself with the intensity and all that. But then Brock, his ability to sell is just top notch. And
I think it's a really underrated thing in his arsenal because you believe that he can hurt anyone he's in the ring with.
Yes.
So I mean, for you to think that he can do the performance and the theater of it, it's another element.
Yeah, it's a whole other element of it. I thought it was really well done. Hot way to start off the Raw. And then to lead that into the tag team title match, I think was a very well point. I feel the show itself went pretty smooth for 3 hours, but I always feel that 3 hours is just still too long of
it is. There was a part near the final hour, the 9 o'clock Central hour for me, where I was like, all right, if this was 2.5 hours, you could bring it home, I'd be on board, Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And we didn't talk too about Shayna Baszler and the Kairi Sane match. Mm-hmm. I thought Shayna Baszler is able to tell such a good story in that whole match. And with Kairi Sane, and I thought Kairi Sane did a very good job too, but the crowd kind of crapped on that. Did you notice that? They had a little boring chant going on and everything like that. Did you hear that during the break or something?
Yeah, I do think it's a match that was drawn out in the sense. Mm-hmm. I think people wanted an Asuka. They wanted an Asuka Shayna, and they got Kairi because of an injury, Mm-hmm. And so that's where you kind of are. And I also think they didn't believe that Kairi could hang with Shayna. I think that was kind of made evident from the get-go. But then they kept making it competitive. So the pacing of it was more about what Becky was doing on commentary. I thought Becky was very entertaining the way she kind of moved on the whole thing. Some people were saying, "Oh, she's not taking Shayna seriously." Well, this is Becky being Becky here. You gotta let her be a star and shine in that way. I want to know when she's just start selling those sunglasses. They're gonna have her do that at some point here.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I was thumbs in the middle on that. But overall, a lot of really good stuff on Raw. I mean, that whole first hour kind of flew by, and I looked at the clock, and it was like almost halfway through the show. I was like, oh, wow.
Oh, man, yeah.
This is a solid show. So you kind of have that. That's a good thing. You know, like when one hot segment rolls into another. There was some dips in the middle, and then the thing with Rowan. But overall, really, really good episode of Monday Night Raw. Now we do it 1 to 10. Solid. I think that's a solid scale to rate anything on. Everyone always wants to do their stars. I think a 1 to 10, you get the real grasp of how good the show is. Handful of must-see matches on the show always tends to get a good rating from me. Some people sometimes think I'm too kind with my ratings. But what do you give it? 1 out of 10, Dominic. What's your rating for this week's Monday Night Raw?
Now, do you do decimal points, or is it just straight up?
You can do some decies. You want to do some decimals?
I'll do some decies. I'll do some decies. I'll give it a 7.8. So not too bad.
7.8. That is,
7.8.
You know what, Dominic? That is a very kind rating from you because I know that you do not throw out your decimals too easily. You do not do.
I don't.
Decimal system. Okay?
No.
All right, let's see what
I usually round up.
You round up. You graded on curve tonight.
Yeah.
Whole class gets ahead here. There we go.
Yeah.
Some other people with their ratings here, and you guys are with us live. Give us your rating for Raw. Matt Pesselt, he didn't like it. He gave it a
3. Holy smokes.
3. That wasn't good. Michael texted it in saying he liked it. He gave it a 7. It's a pretty solid rating here.
All right.
Scott George said Raw gets an 8 from me. R.I.P. Ricochet and Rowan.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Shamu Gaparian saying 10 for Orton, 3 for Aleister Black, 2 for Rowan. He's just picking up points now.
Dispersing it out.
Yeah, everything's dispersing out. Sean Smith giving it a 10 out of 10. You liked it here. So a lot of different takes here. And if you're with us on demand or watching on YouTube or Facebook, what did you think of Monday Night Raw? Give your rating down below. I'll jump into the comments after the show and follow up with you guys there. I give it a solid 8.5. That's a very good rating.
There you go. That's a good rating.
And most of my rating has to do with 3 really good tag team matches that were spread out across the whole show. One of them had a title match. They got like a title change, which is not something you get on TV all the time. And Randy Orton winning the Oscar for being one of the most evil people in all of WWE.
It's just diabolical.
That's what I thought. Now, over on WrestleZone.com, we're going to cover everything coming out on Monday Night Raw. We have live coverage of all the different TV shows. Maybe there's a show you can't cover every week. You can't watch it. I'm not an AEW guy. I'm not an NXT guy. I don't watch SmackDown. Monday's my night. Well, we have it all covered. Full results of all these shows, detailed stuff, plus exclusives, including the WrestleZone Radio podcast feed. I know you just did a deep dive into the world of a big legal dispute in wrestling. Tell me about this interview you have up now. It's in the WrestleZone Radio podcast feed.
Yes. So I interviewed attorney Max Petrunia, also a pro wrestler known as David Lawless.
Which is just ridiculous. But there's a literal wrestling lawyer.
And no joke, he's legit. Like he's got qualifications. Like he's a super lawyer, 6-time super lawyer, all that stuff. He's defending G Raver in the case against Jim Cornette when Jim Cornette filed a lawsuit in regards to a T-shirt that was made about him that depicts him in a negative light. So it's been a fascinating case to cover. I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be speaking with Cornette's attorney tomorrow, Stephen P. New, in an interview. So stay tuned for that. But it's been so crazy to cover because, like I said in the interview too, that I knew David Lawless as a wrestler and as his attorney wrestler. I did not know he was a legitimate lawyer, let alone just based out of Pittsburgh. He's got his own practice and everything. So, for it to tie into this G Raver case that I've been covering before even I knew that, it's just wild. It's nuts. So it's been a fun one to cover. Been intense. I'm learning some legal terminology. I'm kind of feeling like I'm a little Saul Goodman right now. So it's been good. It's been good.
We've had this thing at WrestleZone the past few years of these legal stories that become something in wrestling. Yeah. And I know people we've done a very great job, I think, through the long time that WrestleZone's been a website of exceeding people's expectations, because most people know us kind of as we're the BuzzFeed of wrestling. I've heard people call us that, which to some people is a bad thing and a good thing. But then I look at situations like this where you're doing like a deep dive into like it was like a 50-page document here.
Yeah, it was like 20. It was 22 pages, but it was super like thorough on a lot of different things.
It's in legal speak. It's in legal.
Yeah.
So
very
it's like
Shakespearean.
Yeah. And then a few years ago, we had the CM Punk Dr. Chris Amon trial, which went down in Chicago. And we have a big office of guys here in Chicago, so that was like something that was easier to cover. It's just kind of we got lucky that this is going down in Pittsburgh, and
right.
So yes, for your latest legal courtroom wrestle drama, go to WrestleZone.com. Dominic, if they want to give you a follow on the Twitter, where do they go?
Yeah, go to at Dominic DeAngelo on the Twitter. Just straight up my name. So type that puppy in, I'll be there. You'll see me leaning like I'm trying to pose for Calvin Klein or something. But way it's gonna go, I'm gonna start wearing Matlock uniform suit. So going with the legal stuff. So
hey, from one chrome dome to another, Dominic, bald is beautiful, brother. Bald is beautiful.
Man, representing.
I am follically challenged. I just don't have the extra weight.
Bam.
That's what I tell people. Give me a follow at Kev Kellam. I'll be back tomorrow with WrestleZone Daily. We stream that live on Facebook as well in the late afternoon. If you're with us on YouTube, we are starting to really pop up the YouTube, so definitely let us know what you guys think of that. And, of course, go get WrestleZone Radio podcast on your podcast apps of choice. Thank you so much. We had a recent big growth in ratings there, 27% increase in downloads recently. So we've had a really, really great run as we go into the WrestleMania season. If you enjoy our shows, you like being here on the virtual couch, you have a lot of other options for wrestling media if you choose us. We really do appreciate it. We're not a big corporation thing. We're owned by one, but we're a bunch of real wrestling fans that have been given the keys to the ship here. And thank you guys so much for riding along with us at WrestleZone and on the podcast as well. We'll be back tomorrow. And as always, when you're watching wrestling, Dom, and get lost and throwing memes at stuff and saying, I don't like that robot spider in my wrestling.
Yep.
Okay. Just remember, when you watch wrestling, you have to enjoy wrestling.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.